Baseball equipment is a whole new ball game from where all began. Once called the tool of ignorance by Harold Muddy Rule in the 1920s, baseball equipment has not only become an accepted part of the game but necessary, saving players from serious injury. Baseball is nothing without the ball. Since 1857 until 1872, the ball was either handmade by the players themselves or local merchants. And with no standard weight, the ball would change in size and shape until it settled into one similar to what we use today. In 1854, a meeting between three New York baseball teams settled on the standard weight and size of the baseball. It will weigh from 5.5 to 6 ounces and be 2 and 3/4 inches in diameter. Dimensions continue to change, the baseball becoming slightly smaller. Today, the baseball weighs 5 ounces and 9 inches in circumference. The second most important equipment of baseball is the bat. Olden day baseball bats were heavier and thicker, and they were flat on one side. In 1856, Club Rule decided that the bat would be made from hickory ash, whereas before they were from maple and pitch pine. In 1893, the bat would be all round, no longer flat on one side. Today, baseball bats are 2.61 inches in diameter and 42 inches in length. The baseball glove wasn't always part of the game. There was a time when baseball players would rather catch a fastball with their bare hands than to be called a sissy. In 1877, Albert Spalding was said to be the first to have worn the glove, but he claims that he saw Charles C. Waite wearing a fresh colored glove in Boston in 1875. As the glove evolved, eventually the National League of the American Associations had rules on it. The catcher and the first baseman are permitted to wear a glove or mitt of any size, shape, or weight. All other players are restricted to the use of the glove or mitt weighing not over 10 ounces and the circumference around the palm of the hand, not over 14 inches. Let's continue to Nico.
Another way baseball has changed over the past 100 years is through racial equality. African Americans weren't always accepted and allowed to play in the major leagues. In fact, the first African American ball player to play for a major league team wasn't until 1947. Of course, we are all familiar with his name. Jackie Robinson was not only one of the best baseball players of his time, but an influential one at that. Robinson faced a lot of racial discrimination while playing in the MLB. He helped eliminate discrimination within the leagues as well as in society. Robinson even wrote a letter to President Eisenhower describing his frustrations with racial discrimination in civilization. Before blacks could play in the MLB, they, among other minorities, played in separate leagues. Due to the Jim Crow laws, many other baseball leagues formed. In 1920, Andrew Rube Foster created the Negro National League. The Negro Southern League also formed in 1920. Later, the Eastern Colored League, the Dominican League, as well as the Mexican League came about from this. Within these leagues, players still faced discrimination. Oftentimes, when traveling to away games, players would be forced to sleep in cars and buses due to racist hotel owners and guests. In 1937, due to the Great Depression, the NNL reemerged as the Negro American League. When players like Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, and Hank Aaron signed to the Major League, it hurt the Negro Leagues financially. The Negro Leagues came to an end in 1951. The Pittsburgh Pirates introduced an all-black lineup in September of 1971. Baseball continued to become more and more integrated as the years went on. Today, people of all races and ethnicities are welcomed in the sport of baseball. Now to Caden.
Over the years, the salaries of baseball players has skyrocketed. The income of baseball as a whole has increased through gear and ticket sales, and in turn, the average player salary has shot up. In 1967, the average salary was $19,000, or $138,000 as it would be now. In 1975, the average was $44,000, or $202,000 as it would be today. In 1985, the average was $371,000, or once again today as $8,400. In 1995, the average was $1,110,000, or $1,775,000 as it would be today. In 2005, the average was $2,476,000, or $3,089,000 today. In 2015, the average was $3,952,000, or $4,062,000. As you can see, trends have the average salary increasing over the years from approximately $138,000 in 1967 compared to $4,062,000 in 2017. The highest player in the league has also changed over the decades. In the 1900s, the annual leader was Nap Lajoie, making around $9,000. In the 1910s, it was Ty Cobb, making around $20,000 a year. From the 1920s to 1930s, Babe Ruth dominated the top, pulling in around $70,000 to $80,000 a year. The 40s were a split between Joe DiMaggio and Ted Williams, both raking in about $90,000 a year. The 50s were Ted Williams taking in around $70,000. In the 60s, Willie Mays made around $100,000 to $130,000 a year. In the 70s, about every 2 years, a new annual leader took hold, all making around $500,000. In the 80s, Mike Schmidt broke $1 million, making around $1.5 million a year. The 90s were for Bobby Bonilla, making around $6.2 million a year. The 2000s and 2010s were dominated by Alex Rodriguez, making around $20 to $30 million a year. Due to inflation, the $9,000 made in the 1900s was about $200,000, which still pales in comparison to $30 million nowadays.